What is going on, everybody? My throat, I sound like a frog. So this is because I was outside, so this will clear up. I'm not trying to be cool, trust me. Don't have time for that. Not in my later years. When I was younger, sure, wear the sunglasses. But then we find out that sunlight is really good for your eyes, and no, I don't wear sunglasses when I drive. Actually, well, I'll wear these, but if I'm wearing contacts, no sunglasses. We need sunlight. That's a key thing for health and fitness. We need sunlight. We need that vitamin D and activates through the eyes into the skin. And matter of fact, look at this. This is crazy. Look at that tan line. I'm usually that white, even though I'm Asian. Anyways, it has been a few days because, yep, got sick. Not sick, but, well, I guess I was sick. My throat. It's been a while. So let me just fill you in what's been happening in my life. And I'm sure many of you can relate. It's like a domino effect. One thing begins to just fall into place, and next thing you know, you haven't worked out, and time is slipping by, and you're like, what is going on? So Friday, I had a court hearing because I had accidentally, I was on, so right now I've been unemployed since January, and we had a baby born in April. And my wife was like, well, why don't we apply for parental family leave, which I did. And the last week of parental family leave, I applied for unemployment, thinking it was a waiting week. Here in Washington State, we have a waiting week. You don't get paid, no benefit. Well, because I had opened up a claim earlier in, like, at the end of last year, because I worked for a company that was doing furloughs, and then they reversed it, and HR was like, you guys, everybody should open up a UI claim and get paid for the furlough. Then the company reversed it, and instead of furlough, they gave us back pay, and then laid everybody off. So 17,000 people. So if you can figure that one out, that's so. Because I had a claim that was already open, there was no waiting week, which I didn't realize. I thought it would just redo the whole process. And I got paid twice. So I got a letter, and it said that I was committing fraud, yada, 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 and that they were going to penalize me. I had to pay back a certain amount of money. So I appealed it. I was like, well, I wasn't trying to commit fraud. So I went to court. Now, I'm an introvert, so I prepared for this and did, much like an interview. But I think the stress that it caused in my mind, like, I didn't feel physically stressed, but I was just like stressed a little bit. And we did the court hearing. They're going to tell us the outcome. I'm assuming I'm still going to have to pay something. But that's it. I think that knocked me down to the point where I didn't work out Friday night. And then I started not feeling very well Saturday and Sunday, the weekend. And here we are. We're back to square one. Day one, week 6. And I'm just on recovery. My throat is better. Wasn't sore. It was starting getting sore. So, you know, the way I combat any kind of sickness is I take oregano oil, I take olive leaf extract for, I don't know, inflammation, and then turmeric, and these are all just like little capsules and oils that I take, because there's no way I'm gonna be able to down the taste. No way. No, thank you. But so that has been my weekend. I spent yesterday with my daughter. It was basically movie day because I just wanted to veg and relax. And so, I pretty much just took everything off. I tried to stay within the intermittent fasting, so I didn't eat until noon. But did I eat cheese? Yes. Did I eat peanuts? Yes. I just needed that comfort food, and I also wanted to see if I ate cheese, would that make me fluffy? And I think it does. I think it does a little bit. So, but today's affirmation, I'm going to fill you in for the last 3 days. Today's affirmation is, you don't need a map if you're willing to make the road, period. Make your own path. And I think that's important to know because, there's so many frameworks. There's so many. I mean, yes, this last weekend I watched Alex Hermosi. He did this long webinar on his products. It was great information because part of me is like, how do I start a business? I would like to start a business. I'd like to, work for myself and not have to rely on this layoff corporation system. So that really piqued my interest, and I watched him, and he broke the world record of how many people came online and stuff like that in the system. And I think he said that everyone that attended is supposed to get the free thing tomorrow on Tuesday. So that was interesting. And I think it's for those of us who kind of have dipped in. I don't know if anyone's out there has been laid off before, but it's not fun. It's just that just adds more stress to your life. And I think stress is what compounds us, which is why we need to do fitness to kind of counteract that. And I feel like that day in, day out, we have to find a solution to where we're headed. Because otherwise we're just a rat in the wheel. Just keep on pushing. And there's times where I think sometimes I feel like to be in the rat is okay because you're just doing it, but you have something else going on and you're not 100% focused, and that's all you have. Excuse me. This came up in the fitness information that I thought was interesting. Is that there's no clear best time for daily exercise. A review of 35 studies finds that there's no consistent evidence that exercising at a particular time of day, morning, afternoon, or evening, offers superior health advantages. I'm a night person. I really like working out at night. In the morning, the last time I did it when I was younger, I think I dislocated or almost my shoulder came out. I was just tired and I wasn't really focused, and I was just doing the motion and my shoulder popped out when I was doing lat pull downs. People should focus on fitting physical activity into their schedules in ways that works for them, period. So don't we talked about comparison. The people who wake up at 4 a.m. and work out, if you're not that type of person, don't do it. It's okay. Don't compare yourself to other people's routines. Here's something that I thought was, for those of, if you remember there's a movie, I don't remember the title. Will Smith, Gene Hackman, back in the day, and Gene Hackman says to Will Smith, he says, "You're either incredibly stupid or you're incredibly smart." And I think that rings a bell for me because I think there's a lot of times where we make a decision and we think this is either incredibly stupid or it's going to really make my day. It's going to create the future I'm looking for. So I think society has this black and white thing, and instead of going with the flow, you always have to ask yourself, why? Why am I choosing this? Why am I doing this? And even with your faith, even with what you believe in a spiritual side, in your mental side, there's times where I question, is God real? Is he real? And there was times where I was like, well, he has to be real, because if he wasn't real, I'd be dead. You can't think that everything falls into physics 100%. There's some things that are just outside of physics that you just can't explain. And for that matter, for me, I'm like, well, then obviously God has to be real, or a higher power or something. It's not just us. So those are kind of the things we did. I thought about. I did buy, so going down this faith-based thing, I thought it was, my daughter's been wanting to watch this film. We saw the trailer. It's called King of Kings. It's a cartoon. And we are at the point where we're not telling our daughter what to believe. So I was raised where I was told what to believe, right? I had to go to church, I had to read the Bible, I had to memorize this. And I mean, even when I was in my 20s, my mom was trying to have Bible studies with me. And I'm like, no. And I think there's a balance. You can't force feed your child into what you want them to believe. They have to make a choice themselves. So we have been working on, like, my wife has her own beliefs that are different from my beliefs. And we've been working on our daughter saying, you can choose what you believe. And I think that's really important. You have to let your kids decide. Well, obviously we told her about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and all that not being real, because in our minds, that's a lie, right? We obviously know there's evidence that Santa Claus does not come to your house, period. Now, when it comes to faith, when it comes to God, what's the evidence? We let her figure that out. And there's days where she'll go, I don't think I believe in God. And there's be days where she thinks she believes in prayer. So we let her believe what she chooses to believe, and to think about it, and to question it, and to get her mind curious about it, So we watched The King of Kings just to open that up and just to, expose her to that. And we do watch films where it was interesting this last weekend we were talking about something came up about the rating system, PG, PG-13, rated R, NC-17. My daughter's 5, guys. My daughter is 5. And we talked about what the rating system meant, parental guidance, right? It's ironic it didn't have G in there, but we had parental guidance. We had PG-13, you have to be 13 or older. Rated R, it said restricted for people who are under 17, and then be accompanied by adult. And then NC-17 obviously is, she's not going to touch any of that stuff. We're going to make sure of that. But ironically, we were watching Batman versus Superman, the extended version. And I've gone down the rabbit hole with her and making sure that she understands how movies are made, that superheroes are not real. Superman flies on blue screen, green screen, there's wires, and the way they fight and they're not hitting each other, yada, yada, yada. And I'm thinking, now she knows. But when we were watching Batman, was it Superman versus Batman? I looked at the rate, I realized in the middle of the movie, I mean, this is a 3-hour movie. And it takes us all day to watch a 3-hour movie. But when we're in the middle of the movie and I hit pause and then we go to play and it shows the rating, I didn't realize it was rated R. So we're watching a rated R. And there's times where, we'll tell her to close your eyes, when the family, Bruce Wayne's family dies, the shots are the guns in the face and everything. And we didn't want to show that. So I told her to close her eyes or I fast forward. So it's kind of a dichotomy, if you will, on I want my daughter to be intelligent and smart, but I also want to protect her from things that could harm her or give her nightmares. And I think the difference is that from a young age, I talked to her about how movies are made. We talked to her about, we saw Ring of Power, the monsters. At the very beginning, she was scared. And then we watched the behind the scenes. Oh, the monster's getting makeup. It's actually a person. Oh, the person's getting the stuff glued to his face. Oh, he's getting fake teeth. Oh, he has eyes and he's getting these horns and it's not really. And so, and even behind the scenes when they're just having regular conversations, the bad guys and the good guys, and they're just chuckling and stuff. I think that's important for her to see, to go, the world that we live in is real, but what we see on the screen is not real. And we don't watch the news. That's another thing. We really don't. We don't watch the news on TV. So I think in the long run, she likes Wonder Woman. We watched Batman versus Superman. We watched that he got stabbed. And I said, is that real? Did he really get stabbed? And she's like, no. So, and the monster and everything. And so it's just, I think to have that and let her decide on what she believes in and then help guide her on her beliefs. If she has questions, we're always there to answer. And I think that's important. I mean, that's all part of being a family, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to continue to push forward. Today is we're going back into the routine of our chest and back. I'm going to try to do it. Let's see how I do. My energy levels are not 100% yet. And obviously my throat isn't at 100%. This is probably the most I've spoken in, I don't know, all day. Did I talk about magnesium? I did pick up magnesium glycinate. I think that's how you say it. And I've been taking 1 capsule at night, no cramps. But we'll see. When I get back to working out harder, we'll see what happens. I was taking citrate, and it was my wife's, and I found it was for constipation. I didn't know that. It worked. I didn't cramp when I took it, but yeah, I'm not taking that anymore. It didn't make me have to go to the bathroom more, so I thought that was interesting. But I didn't, I'm not a constipated person. All right, so here we go. Let's get back into it. For those who are struggling and getting better, feel better, we're gonna end this together. We're going into week 6, day 1. Keep pushing forward.